Back again is Ryan, and we have with us today David, as usual,
Hello.
and Matt, one of our writers for the site.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here.
So today we're going to talk about a bunch of different things, and we're going to kind of cap it off with a topic that should be interesting, our opinion of the most influential game of the current generation. So that's Xbox 360, Nintendo Wii, or PlayStation 3. So which game franchise we think was the most influential for the current generation, and maybe what we think that'll mean for the future. But to start it off, I think we should go with kind of the big news of the week, which is Pikmin 3 coming out. So I haven't had a chance to play it other than just kind of going by it at E3. But I know, Matt, you played the original. What'd you think of the original and kind of the direction they're going with where we're at now?
I played a lot of the original Pikmin. There was one of those games where I hadn't read a ton into it before I bought it. I just knew that it was first-party Nintendo, and it seemed like an interesting concept. And I spent dozens of hours playing that game, and it was just such a unique experience. User-friendly, but it took some effort to figure out sort of the nuances of how combat works, and there's lots of stuff lots of extras you can find in the maps and stuff. And I never played Pikmin 2. I know it's pretty similar to Pikmin 1. They added some new Pikmin. Game mechanics were pretty much the same, though. So it looks like with Pikmin 3, they sort of shook it up a little bit. I know they introduced 2 other playable characters, so you simultaneously have to control 3, I don't know their names, but 3 Olimars, 3 astronauts, or whatever. So I haven't seen a ton of how that's implemented, but I know, based on reviews that I've read, that it's kind of frustrating just because you can issue orders to the players that you're not controlling, but there's not an easy way to control everyone at once. It's not like an RTS where you can highlight everything at once. You kind of have to switch between the 3. So I mean, it's an interesting game mechanic. It'll be interesting to see how it works. I haven't gotten my hands on the actual game yet, so I don't really have any opinions on how it plays, but I definitely am excited for it.
I wonder, is it a situation where, with either Wii U or something like that, other people can play the other 2 characters? Is it kind of something added for multiplayer purpose?
I think so. I was reading that you can't play through the whole single-player campaign cooperatively, but there are certain missions that you can play cooperatively. So I'm not sure how that works, but I'm assuming it's just for certain, maybe certain tasks in levels. You can have your buddies jump in and they control the other astronauts.
Interesting.
I haven't seen how that works, but I mean, it's a cool concept, and I've heard the multiplayer is a lot of fun. It should have a lot of longevity, assuming people are interested.
Yeah, didn't you do some research on that, David? Like how the multiplayer is going to work and stuff?
Yeah, I was just looking up some stuff on it, and it seems interesting. The first thing that kind of came to my mind was like a StarCraft Lite or something like that, like a really simple version, like StarCraft for kids. And that might be an oversimplification, but yeah, there's just a handful of ways to win. I was watching a thing where a guy was describing some different strategies, like kind of amassing a lot of little Pikmin really quick to kind of outgrow them. And I like Zerg, so I was like, oh, like a Zerg rush, like over swarming them. And so I was like, okay, that could be fun, because I actually haven't played any of the Pikmins myself. I think maybe I played one time a little bit, but I haven't played through. But definitely looking up stuff on it was really interesting. I like the idea that you mass these little guys and you use them as weapons. It looks like you throw them at people. I was like, I can get behind that. But yeah, so the multiplayer looks interesting. I don't know if it's been something that they've had in the past or not, because he seemed. Well, yeah, I was watching a video by Nintendo, one of the presentations on it, and he was really highlighting it. So I feel like maybe it's something different from the past ones. And yeah, there's just a few different ways to win. He even said you could wait, because I guess you get points by maybe killing big little monsters and then collecting prizes from them. So it's like you can wait for someone else to kill them and then run in and grab the prizes and run away. And I was like, that sounds fun too. So it definitely seems like it's got some interesting concepts, and just kind of looking up stuff on it made me think I could play that game.
So if you could throw one person, real life person, as a Pikmin at another Pikmin, who would you throw?
That's a good question. It's almost like I think the Pikmin you throw different ones based on like situations. Like I think red ones are immune to fire, so you can throw them at people in fire environments without them dying or something like that. So I guess generally I would just pick the largest person I could find because I feel like that would have the biggest impact. But maybe I could like it could be more situational. Like I could throw their ex-wife at them or something for bonus damage. uh,
uh, I don't know if you can beat that one, Matt. I mean, basically, he just said he's going to throw fat people or ex-wives at people. So
he took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to go with the largest person I could find and just chuck him.
yeah, that's basic strategy.
see, I'm more of a like throw the smallest person you can find, so they're like a monkey crawling around the big guy. Because I mean,
Oh yeah.
that can work too. And then they claw their eyes out or something. I don't know.
Little
Anyways,
Smeagol-like.
so did you guys ever play the game Savage?
No, I haven't.
That
Have you
sounds
played it, David?
familiar. I'm really bad with names. I'm gonna look up an image of it.
was
What's it
like-
about?
Whenever you were talking about Pikmin, it just reminded me of it because Savage is this game where you play as like an RTS and also a first person, and like you can spawn these different creatures, and you go after the other team who's also doing the same thing, and then you have it's like a basic RTS. It kind of reminds me of Battlezone. Did you play Battlezone?
I know there's one game where you could play either like you could pick one character like you could zoom into one character and run around like a first-person shooter, or you could like issue commands. I think you could do all at once. I think it was a multiplayer game, and the person issuing commands was more like just pinging the map for places for people to go, and any NPC run characters would just do it automatically, and the player runs would choose.
Yeah, gaming's kind of doing a move back to it because like Battlezone was kind of the original where you were in like a vehicle in space and you were firing at, in this case the Soviets. So it was like a fight over different planets and whatnot, and so you could control your ship and then also build different structures around, kind of like tribes. You throw a turret down or whatever. And then you could also control from like a third-person view in like RTS and kind of the newer versions. And then they kind of did the same thing with Savage, where it was all these primeval creatures that you evolved and then went and like mauled the other person. But I don't know, just it kind of reminds me of Pikmin a little bit, which maybe I can get my wife to play it, and then I don't have to worry about playing games and not including her.
That was one of the things. Yeah, I thought when I was seeing Pikmin, I was like, that could be a good like relationship game. As someone who seems to have always dated gamers to some degree, though I think generally speaking, guys just seem to be more prone to be gamers than girls. Like even the gamer girls that I know don't get as like 30 hours in front of the keyboard. Though actually, I've met something like that. But yeah, it seems like a good like kind of together game. Like I had one relationship that our first like. A lot of our like more cool down interactions weren't like going and watching a movie, because the movie's nice, but you can't really like learn about the other person because you're just watching a movie. I guess you can discuss it afterwards. But there's a Pixel Junk. Monsters is a game. Pixel Junk made it. Monsters is a game, and it's a tower defense. But you can have two people on the screen at once, and you can both plant towers. And then you move your guy over it, and he'll dance on the tower to upgrade it. It takes time to upgrade, but he has to dance on it. So you have to pick where you're going to stand to dance. And also
So Matt, could you do a dance for us real quick to show us what that would look like?
Dancing on top of the tower.
Yeah, I mean, just do your best dance.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's pretty
It's a
much
little
it.
hard.
He was like a little.
There's a lot going on underneath what the screen is showing right now. You
Are you at a standing desk?
Try to stare over here.
But yeah, so I think it could definitely be something like that, especially if there is the ability to control both people on screen at once, like if there is some kind of cooperative mode, if not just the multiplayer modes.
Yeah, so kind of to switch gears a little bit, Atlas Games, and I didn't know about this until I just kind of read something on it, where I guess the owner of Atlas Games, which is a subsidiary of Index Corporation, is basically declared bankruptcy. So they're selling off Atlas, and which is sad because Atlas has a good amount of games, and so Sega is making a play for them, which is kind of interesting. It'd be cool to see kind of what they do with that. I know they picked up Relic Entertainment last year, But Matt, what do you think about that?
Well, so what are some of the properties that Atlas has that Sega would be taking over if they were to buy out Atlas?
Persona, Dragon's Crown, which they just kind of released. I don't know if they released or they published Demon Souls in North America, so it's not like I don't think they definitely don't own Dark Souls. So, but there is kind of a relationship there. Um, but there's uh, a bunch of different ones. Megami Tensei, Etrian Odyssey, Trauma Center. Yeah, just a bunch of different ones. But I don't know. It's interesting. And like I played Dragon's Crown at E3, and it was a lot of fun. Um, and we actually just did an article on it too. But it's a side scroller. So and I guess they're making a comeback. But anyways, I'm rambling.
Um, yeah, I'm not as good at keeping up with who's developing what, but I know I played games by them before. The name sounds familiar. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking to myself, yeah, I don't know if what benefits, I guess, the gamers most. A lot of companies kind of going under and being bought up by one and kind of creating these larger companies with maybe a lot of resources because maybe they keep different developers and stuff, or does it kind of hurt overall for it to be different companies going under and being bought up by other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on your opinion. I mean, if you agree with the methods that they've been doing for the last bit here, um, and their development cycles and everything like that, then yes and no. For example, I don't think moving to one big developer and just having this conglomerate, kind of like the AT&Ts and Verizons and Comcast and all these guys that move in, and then you only end up with like one or two options. It's like, well, do I want Comcast or do I want AT&T or do I want AT&T or Verizon? You don't have a lot of options. So I think the indie game movement is going pretty strong, and especially with Kickstarter, I don't see it becoming something like that. But what do you think, Matt?
Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what kind of effect it has on those franchises because when companies are bought out like that and it changes hands, the track record on what the studios put out afterwards is kind of sketchy because I mean Microsoft bought out Rare, and Rare really hasn't put out anything remotely like what they used to since what I think Conker's Bad Fur Day was probably the last great thing they put out. I mean they tried to reboot Banjo-Kazooie and they had some interesting things going on in Nuts and Bolts, but I mean overall it wasn't really the same. I mean that game has some like diehard fans, but it wasn't a huge success that they were looking for. And I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard, because I mean, in the example of Rare, aren't they basically just doing what are they doing? Connect stuff? Aren't they? Don't they do the Connect Sports series?
Rare.
I don't know.
I think they've been relegated to just doing like some Connect franchise. I think it's Connect Sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be. I mean, Sega. I mean, Sega has a lot of backing behind them, so we'll see if they do end up buying Atlas, what happens with those franchises. But I mean, it's kind of hard to tell at this point. It kind of based on the games you were listing off. It kind of sounds like they're gamers games.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean by that, like very niche market. Like Persona, I know I've never played Persona, but I know it has a really devoted fan base, and there are a few other listed off. So I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting if they end up getting bought out by Sega.
Yeah, and I mean, in our first episode, we talked about Homeworld being re-released in HD, and Sega last year acquired Relic, which was who made the original Homeworld series, and subsequently Homeworld 2, and then Homeworld Cataclysm. And those were some of the best RTS space strategy games I think I ever played. I mean, I don't necessarily put StarCraft in the same category because StarCraft is an RTS in sci-fi future, but it's not a space RTS. You're not going around with ships and stuff. But and it kind of makes me sad that they haven't really, since it was sold off to another person, and I forget who owns it now. They're doing an HD remake, but I really want to see more of those games. And I know Company Heroes that just came out. I played at E3 and it was amazing. it was really good. I liked it, and I got to play the multiplayer mode, and we got stomped by computers, so I'm not very good at it. But that it's kind of a good indication to me that maybe Sega acquiring them might allow them to do more, because the game looked really great. Graphics were fantastic. So, I mean, if they can allow Atlas to do what they do best and not interfere, I think it could be a good thing. Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm just definitely interested to see what comes of it. Because I think there's been good mergers, and then there can be bad mergers.
hmm So I guess the next big topic, which is the one we kind of talked about for a while at the beginning, is current generation of consoles. What we view as the most influential franchise and why for the 360, PlayStation 3, PC, and Wii. I mean, PC is kind of the ever-growing, so it's kind of like whatever. But yeah, I guess let's start with David. Sure.
Oops, I got distracted. I was reading about a game called God Mode from Atlas. I got to their website, and there's a game called God Mode, and I was reading about it. What was the question?
You just want to be in God Mode.
I know. I was like, how do the whole time I can't even die? That sounds like a great game. That's the first thing I do whenever I play a game. I just put in.
What was the code in the cheat code in? I don't know if it was Warcraft. It was Warcraft 2 and StarCraft original. They had the God Mode cheat code that you could type in chat, and then in campaign mode you couldn't die. Or I know for one of them it was free money, glittering prizes, and show me the money were two of the cheats.
Yeah, I think Show Me the Money is the one I remember. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't used cheat
Power
codes in a
Overwhelming.
while.
That was one. I think that was the one for StarCraft original to like make your guys invulnerable. Yeah, I did that.
Wait, sorry, what was the question? I was reading about this new game.
The franchise question.
Oh yes, franchise. That is a good question. It's hard. I was looking at like, I guess. Oh, we're not talking about the future consoles though, and like the one and stuff. Current. Definitely. Like I feel like shooters have been really big, and a lot of them will kind of grab stuff off of each other. I actually don't play a ton of first-person shooters. Gameplay style-wise, I guess I'll say what I hope is the most influential, but if I won't be. But I really like Dark Souls. I like the like crushing difficulty. So I wouldn't mind playing more games where like you felt like a victory was a victory. Like there's a lot of games that you play that takes you a day, 4 days to pass or whatever. You kind of play through it. Like even me and my room, we just finished BioShock Infinity, which was a beautiful game, and it was a lot of fun to play. But a lot of the times you felt like it was pretty simple. I think we went straight to hard mode too. We played it as hard as we could get at it. And like one of the bosses we killed by sniping her from outside the doorway. Like you walk in, it activates everything, and you step back outside the doorway, and you just keep shooting at her until she dies. And that's like we just tried it. Like you feel like if it's something you can do, it's not cheating. Like they should have had it so there was some reason you couldn't walk back out the door, or she would come after you. And so like it wasn't as satisfying as say beating those two big bosses, the lightning guy and the guy with the giant hammer, and Dark Souls and stuff. Like you just feel like, all right, well we're done with that boss. Now to the next thing. You don't feel like, I did it. That's like not easy. So hopefully that will influence maybe more people to make games more difficult. I would like that.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's been kind of lost with this current generation. I feel like games so much just kind of hold your hand and guide you through everything. There's like a lengthy tutorial that shows you exactly all the game mechanics, how they work, the best way to use them, and then there's games where you just click the right thumbstick and it tells you exactly where to go. Like I think Dead Space does that, where it's just like, oh, I'm lost. Click a button, path on the floor tells me exactly where to go. So I think Dark Souls is a good pick. Just because it's just so hard. I mean, the difficulty in those games is ridiculous. But the game design in those, it's brilliant. Like, it's a lot of fun. It works. It's not overly complicated, but it takes a lot of skill to master it. And I think that's just something that's been missing from this generation. So I think Dark Souls is a good pick.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I feel like a lot of games are kind of like I've played a lot of games recently that have some way to push a button and there'll just be like an arrow on the floor telling you where to go. Like I know Skyrim. I'm pretty sure it's Skyrim. I'm thinking right. Oh crap, no, Dark Souls I think has that. Actually, a lot of games have that now. Um, but
Does Dark
but
Souls have
uh,
that? I
but I
don't
do feel
remember
like
that.
it kind of comes from. Do they not? I'm trying to think. Maybe it wasn't Dark Souls. Maybe it is Sky. I think Skyrim was a spell you could cast. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of games
Yeah.
that have it. But yeah, and I feel like it comes from maybe just a like cheap like game developing. Like a lot of times you play a game and you say, oh, the harder bad guys just have double like 150% XP and then 200% XP and like the or not experience health, and they're not really making them more clever or something. They're just like, well, what if we just make them take longer to kill, and that's the harder version. Um, and then games take longer because like you just can't figure out where you're going and stuff, and you don't feel like it's like you're going this immersive, enjoying experience. It's just like they're like, well, we don't want it to be a 20-hour game, so let's add some walking in there. That way, it'll be a 40-hour game, and people will be satisfied. Like if they beat it in one night, they'll feel ripped off, but it'll take them 2 days if there's walking. Like, so you're like, I don't know. I just, yeah.
That reminds me of at E3, we were waiting in line to play a game. I forget what it was, but we were right next to the booth where they were showing the Metal Gear Solid video, and so it's like the song is just stuck in my head because it's like whoa, whoa, and it just kept on doing that over and over and over again. And then there was literally a part where they fast forwarded the game because he was going for like he was open world, and he was going past these people on a horse, and it's like, A, you just went past a whole bunch of like armed soldiers on a horse in the middle of the desert. Does that really make a whole lot of sense that you're able to do that? And like, oh yeah, there's just a horse walking by. That's not unusual. I shouldn't shoot at that. And B, like you're fast forwarding the gameplay because it's boring. Like no one
You have to
wants to
fast forward
play
the
that.
demo.
But I'll probably end up playing it. So, but anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good games and a lot of good games where you feel like, yeah, like there was 10 great hours of gameplay or 20 great hours of gameplay wrapped up into 50 hours of gameplay because you can't release a $60 game that gives you 20 hours of entertainment. There are a lot of ways if you're going to pay whatever it is, $12, $15 to see a movie for 2 hours nowadays, you might as well pay 60 for 20
You mean
hours.
Star Wars Force Unleashed 2?
Yeah. Yeah, there's
It's
a
a
lot of them
fun
where you
game.
like, well, sometimes there's like incredibly fun elements to a game. Like you're like, that was the best like thing I've done in a game in a long time, but I only got to do it for like 10 minutes, and then like that one boss fight was amazing and satisfying, but then the other five weren't,
Yeah.
or something like that.
So Matt, what about you?
I have to go with Call of Duty. I mean, it's you look at I mean, can,
Get out of
could be wrong.
here.
So go all the way back to what 2005. Call of Duty 2 was a launch game on Xbox 360, and it had a vibrant multiplayer system. It was really good. The campaign was solid, and then just from there, like Call of Duty dominates video games and dominated the entire generation. Like from Modern Warfare onward, all Call of Duty. No one has been able to touch them. And I mean, you can talk about how they've abandoned the single-player campaign and it's all about multiplayer, but I mean, Modern Warfare revolutionized console multiplayer. I mean, they brought in the ranking system, customization. You can customize your guns and unlocks and stuff, and it just added so much more replayability to the game. It encouraged people to keep playing and unlock a new gun. And from there, they've sort of built on that formula, and you can criticize them for not innovating as much as other franchises, but I think there are so many Call of Duty copycats now. Like people take elements from Call of Duty's multiplayer and implement it in their own games. I just think as far as influence goes, you can't deny the effect that that huge juggernaut franchise has had. I mean, it's not my favorite games. I mean, I love Modern Warfare, but as the years have gone on, they sort of lost me. But I think as far as the importance of a franchise, I think Call of Duty is definitely my pick, especially going forward in the next generation. Because I mean, Ghost is going to be a launch title, and I'm sure everyone is going to be playing Ghost. Probably going to break a bunch of sales records. So I don't know. Not my favorite, but I think it's in terms of influence. I can't think of any other series that has had more of an impact than Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, I would. So first of all, you picked the one I was going to talk about, and then second of all, David talked about Dark Souls, which is the other one I was going to talk about.
You should have gone first. You're the leader.
But I would actually, I'm going to challenge you a little bit there, because while I do agree that Call of Duty is probably the most influential franchise of this current console generation, they didn't create the level system. That was actually Halo 2. Halo 2 created the leveling, or like you had a level associated with your team and your person, so you would rank up based on that. And then Call of Duty enhanced that idea, so they kind of took that idea and molded it and made it into something better. And like you said, they've broken tons of sales records, and they did an amazing job of taking a good idea and going forward. But I think in general, a lot of the video games that we have today, it's not necessarily one franchise. I honestly think it's kind of a Microsoft thing. And don't shoot me for saying this, but they came up with the achievement system and a secure Xbox Live system that's thriving and growing, and it's a community of players. Whereas back whenever I was in, a kid playing games on the original Xbox, we had LAN parties because it's like, oh, we really want to do this, but we couldn't because there wasn't a good system in place before Halo 2 and all those games to where you could have a decent console shooter. And so then the rest is history. But yeah, that's what I would say on that. But so changing gears, since you guys stole mine, World of Warcraft. It's not a huge game changer when it comes to gaming as a whole, but it definitely revolutionized the MMO area. I was a big MMO player. I played EQ, I played Dark Age of Camelot, I've played probably 20 different MMOs. Most recently, I think I played some Dark Age and Rift, on and off. But so many subscribers, so many people, and they had, I think their first 2 expansions were probably their biggest thing, where they just had kind of some hard mode stuff where you had to do a lot of teamwork and building and everything like that. Don't like the cartoony graphics. I don't like the PvP. It's not balanced towards PvP, and so for that reason I don't play it. But from a PvE perspective, I don't know of anyone who's done as good of a job attracting players and keeping them than Blizzard or Activision Blizzard with WoW. Granted, they just lost what was it, 300,000 last quarter, David? We talked about that last time.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the number on it. I feel like it was maybe more than that.
Was it 3 million?
No, I don't think it was quite a million. Didn't they go from 7.3 to 6.4?
It was it was a lot. It was more than you should lose in a 3-month period. But it's definitely revolutionized gaming, just because there's tons of videos about WoW. There's tons of videos of people raving and ranting about how horrible this, that, and the other is. And it's kind of like a massive social experiment. You just see all these people doing horrible, horrible, horrible things to each other. Wow. Is that something we should be glad about? I don't know. But yeah, I think that's one of the most influential for that particular genre. And probably for me, the game that I want to be the most influential is, again, Dark Souls. I just want games to be harder. I want them to be difficult, and I want there to be, more playthroughs. I don't want the easy mode. Well, where do I go? Oh, there's an arrow. I don't want the, oh, this boss is really easy. Let me just do the same thing over and over and over again. I want to run into something like they said in, I don't know if you saw Indie Gamer, they were talking about Super Meat Boy. And he's like, I don't train people to play Super Meat Boy. I put them into scenarios where they're going to die 1,000 times. And then at the end of the 1,000 times, they figured out, oh, I can do this. So they sacrifice themselves 1,000 times, and they figure out, oh, I can jump, off of 2 walls at the same time. That's cool. So I'm much more in favor of like, hey, figure it out than, here's your training wheels. Go shoot some people, or go this way to shoot people, or here's a turret that you're supposed to use to defend each other. Like that's fun for a little bit, but it just gets boring.
It
So
reminds me of Dark Souls when there's that I think it's right before the bridge, like in Dark Souls 1, when there's that dragon like swoops down and breathes fire and kills you, and you're like, what's gone on in my life? But there's if you go in like one little door or something, you can kick a ladder down, and then you don't have to go through like 10 minutes or something worth of killing like skeletons and stuff to get back to that place. But we didn't know about that the first like 10 times we died to the dragon. So you die to the dragon and then run through skeletons for like 10 to 15 minutes, like killing stuff to get back to try to like figure something out and die again. But then when you figure out there's a little thing, you can kick it. And even though once you save there, you don't have to run over and over again, you just go up a ladder. So the open world running for 20-minute stuff isn't there. It still takes you like 3 hours to figure out what to do with this boss because you just die 40 times in a row instead. So that gameplay's still there. At least it's meaty gameplay, not like running around a tower looking for the next boss or something.
yeah, or like the part where we walked up to the first or second. I think it was like I walked up to the first campfire. I go up there. I'm like, oh, look at this thing. I'm walking toward the door, and you hear some weird noises, and you're like, well, that's kind of strange. And you're just walking. And all of a sudden, this like huge, massive thing comes down and like slams you in the face. And it's like, oh, I guess this is a boss fight now. Like, I'm gonna kill you, and then he kills you in like 2 hits. It's like, well, that was cool, I guess. I mean, that's fair. Or better yet, when we got to the campfire after that guy, and there's just this random dude sitting there that's all snarky and annoying. I was like, I just want to kill this person. I wonder if it'll let me kill this person. So then I tried, and then we had to restart the game because he was too powerful. We couldn't kill him.
No, we didn't kill him. We kicked him off of the cliff. But,
oh yeah, that's right.
We found out he was like, because first you attacked him and he went off on us because we were passing the controller playing it. And so then you die, and we're like, okay, well, now let's get back to really playing. So we respawn at the fire, and he just comes at us again. We're like, oh, so the aggro doesn't stop just because we died. And then we had to figure out how to kill
somebody after you die. It's like, no, any decision you make is staying with you. There is no reloading to the previous save point. Like, you have to deal with the consequences of your actions.
You don't reload. That was a fun part, too. And that made you feel like doing things like mattered more.
Yeah. Dark Souls.
Oh, 2's coming. We'll have to do some videos of us playing it and falling in love.
Yeah, we are. We are doing some videos. I think we've got one on Dark Souls coming out soon on YouTube where we'll do kind of a death montage for somebody who's never played the game before. So they'll just die over and over and over again. And we'll put to like funny music or something like that, or make fun of the person.
Yeah, we should be there. We should be like, we didn't die to that. Why did you die to that? People who play games wouldn't have died to that. They'd be like, why am I so mad? You're like, this is an easy game. That's why we gave it to you.
Loser. No. Oh, man. Well, we're just about out of time. Actually, we are out of time. So, closing statements. David.
Dark Souls. No. Yeah, I'm excited to see some of the new stuff coming out on the new consoles and see where kind of the influences of past consoles takes us and how the different purchases and games going out of business and things influence the future.
Matt.
Even though I picked Call of Duty as the most influential, I think story building and world building is going to be a huge part of this next generation. You look at games like what Mass Effect did this generation, that would have been my other pick. I didn't go to Call of Duty. And you look at a game like The Last of Us, where even though it's just one game, it's not part of a franchise, at least not yet. But you look at that one game, and then it's just like they nail the atmosphere. You feel like you're in this world. The characters feel real. Everything just it's a living, breathing, organic thing. And I think hopefully more developers are going to take that approach and really put an emphasis on story and characters. I mean, I love a game like Dark Souls where it's all about the game mechanics and the awesome design and boss battles and stuff. But at heart, the main reason why I play video games is so I can be involved in these stories and lose myself in these worlds. So I kind of I hope moving forward that takes a bigger role, and we'll see more games like Last of Us. We'll see more huge multiple game spanning universes like Mass Effect and Fallout, Elder Scrolls, that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what moving forward in the next generation, what these games that we've been playing for the past 7 years, how they advance.
Yeah, I'd say probably Titanfall for FPS is going to be something that's, I'm just excited to see where that goes, because that's the original creators of Call of Duty are the ones who are doing Titanfall. They left and are doing their own thing.
Right.
So there's going to be great stuff from that, and I really do want to see more stories kind of like Mass Effect. Halo for me was early on, Halo 1 and kind of Halo 2, but not really Halo 2. Halo 2 kind of took it some weird directions, but Halo 1, I just was immersed in that world, and it was scary and freaky, and you're like in this little room, and like monsters start coming out to try to eat you, and now I look back at it, it's like, man, that's like cartoony graphics, but back then it was like terrifying, kind of like Doom, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what's coming down the pipe, but thank you everybody for watching, and tune in next week when we do it again. I think next week we're going to have a cosplayer come on who's a good friend. But anyways, have a wonderful week, and we will see you then.
Bye.
Adios.